Hello, everyone. Welcome to our space. Welcome to our It Takes All of Us Expanded Learning Workforce Summit briefing. Thank you for joining us. I would like to take a quick moment just to acknowledge the current federal administration actions and how they are shaping our landscape in real time. And so with that uncertainty, that makes our work with our young people and our communities very important. So that's more of a reason why this session matters, and grounding ourselves in the work that we do and connecting with each other and the strategies that could come up next. So with that, we'll get started with our space and I'll go through our agenda for today. Next slide, please. All right. Well, for our space today, I'll introduce myself. My name is Maria Ramirez. I am with Partnership for Children and Youth. So welcome to our space. Our agenda today will touch on key insights from our summit. So if you were able to attend our summit, that's great. If not, it's totally fine. You'll get to learn our learnings and what the space was like during our summit. We're going to touch on our action planning results. And we're going to hit those main topics that took place during action planning, which are professional development pathways, policy and advocacy, organizational development, worker wellness, and recruitment. And then we'll end with closing and sharing a few opportunities that have come up from our summit and from other spaces and resources. And so with that, I'll pass it on to Alea to share about the summit.
Great. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Alea Rosario. I'm the co-CEO of the Partnership for Children and Youth, and alongside CalSAC and Expand LA, our host partners for the summit. We're super thrilled to have taken the last few months and weeks to unpack and analyze all of the great feedback that we received and information shared during the summit and to start to share that back with the field. So this is a snapshot of the participation and attendance at the summit. Of note, there were lots of organizations that utilized the summit to send teams of people. So sort of an indication that the summit could be an opportunity for org teams to attend together to explore strategies and hopefully support implementation of new workforce strategies in your organizations. And another quick shout out to the sponsors of the summit that helped make the event possible and a great experience for everyone. All of the workshop presenters, if you were here, I see a few of our workshop presenters here. Thank you so much for helping to make the summit a great, unique experience for the people who attended. Next slide. Want to give a shout out to all of our keynote speakers who, as well, shared their experience and expertise from two candidates for State Superintendent of Public Instruction who were able to kind of share remarks on the record of the importance of investing in the expanded learning workforce and began to build relationships with those candidates. We had several panels of expanded learning leaders representing creative youth development, district or LEA leaders, as well as community-based organization voices. And who can forget the incredible performance by Jonathan Williams, who shared their original poetry piece, We Bloom, with us. We promise we are still working on being able to share that piece and that beautiful gift that Jonathan created for the entire field. Next slide. Again, want to give a shout out to all of our workshop presenters and workshops. Several of the workshops that were sort of especially especially high interest included a workshop that addressed pathways for high school students, really thinking about, not only integrating professional development and training to support our staff, but ensuring that PD and training was intentional and human-centered. There was good feedback around some of the workshops that address leadership development and really thinking about the internal practices within organizations. And you could see that people identified clear takeaways from the event, from tangible tools like culture guides and developing a tool like that for your organization to ensure that there's values alignment with organizational practices, how that addresses retention and staff engagement, to collecting and evaluating data to make sure that workforce perspectives are really heard and taken into account when developing policies, to giving attention to personal leadership practices, including the power of being present for staff and providing recognition for staff contributions goes a long way. And all of these strategies, right, help contribute to making expanded learning jobs high quality jobs. Next slide. At the event, we unveiled a new tool that we developed to gather insights to better understand the various journeys into and within the expanded learning workforce. And so this visual, if you were there and maybe got to take the quiz and represent yourself on the track, we'll continue to collect and analyze and share the findings with the field. Interestingly, from the summit, most participants have navigated a career in the field, starting from a direct service position, so that trailblazer track up in the left top corner, which underscores the importance of cultivating career youth development professionals as early as possible, right? If people are entering the work in direct service roles because they want to work with children and youth, how can we really make sure that we're intentional about creating opportunities for them to continue to advance in their career and stay creating the impact that they, started out with on children, youth, and families. And then finally, some of the strategies that were named to continue to support new and continued workforce development efforts are statewide and regional convenings like the summit. We asked what would help you all continue to implement new strategies, share strategies. In addition, in-person trainings and professional learning opportunities came forward, as well as organizational coaching and consulting. So we hear the strong interest in connecting with colleagues across organizations for meaningful in-person relationship building, strategizing, and collaboration. Again, telling us the summit is an important offering. It's a unique offering in the field to kind of be solely focused on addressing workforce issues, and the need and support and coaching and capacity building to increase organizational effectiveness, ensuring that the policies, practices, and strategies that providers, you all employ, to make jobs in expanded learning high quality jobs is needed. So good feedback for us to take as partners, to continue to think about how we offer and engage support with you all. All right, and I'll turn it back to you, Maria.
Thank you. All right. Well, during the summit, participants came together to participate in strategic thinking about workforce needs and develop a plan, and develop and plan potential next steps that they can coordinate to address those specific workforce needs. And so each group discussed to identify key issues that have and continue to contribute to the challenges of the expanded learning workforce. These exercises help participants across organizations and roles to coordinate efforts to take strategic action by identifying short and long-term strategies, all at different levels, the individual, the programmatic, and the systematic. So what we'll do now is we'll go through each of those topics, share some of those action planning strategies, and some action steps that came from it. Go to the next slide, please. All right. One of the topics is professional development and career pathways. And so this action planning, what came from this action planning, was developing like comprehensive growth journeys, having training that is specific for each role, creating a culture of feedback, and collecting data to support that retention. Some action steps or resources that we have available and that came from this action planning and our summit. An example is our culture guides. So there was a training on culture guides, and it was shared how these are helping organizations with onboarding and with retention and with really planning training for staff. Another resource was came from the appreciative inquiry training, which was offered by the Monarch Nexus project. And so they worked on really how to gather that data from staff, how to use it to support in those information of receiving feedback and supporting programs growth and workforce growth, and collecting that data and how to collect that data. So those resources are also available on our webpage. With that, I'll go to the next topic, please. All right, and another topic was policy and advocacy. In this group, action planning steps that came from there were gathering data, using the data to demonstrate impact and action, connecting to advocacy, an action step or resource that could be used now is joining the California After School Summer Challenge. There are virtual meetings available, so the steps could be taken now, and we'll share more about that resource towards the end, but that's one action step that could be taken from this. And to share a little bit more about this group and the policy and advocacy action planning, I'd like to introduce Ariely Alvaro Salina. She is a quality program coordinator for expanded learning from YMCA San Diego County, and she was there in the space and is going to share a little bit about their strategies on policy and advocacy.
Hi, yes. All right, is everyone able to hear me correctly? It might be a little bit weird because I am logged in on two different systems. My laptop for some reason is not acting up correctly today, but hopefully you guys are able to hear me correctly. But yes, my name is Ariely Alvarado. I am one of the quality program coordinators for the YMCA program in the South region. So we oversee about a total of 42 schools in the South region, and kind of like what Maria was touching base on, some of the action steps or key strategies that we currently have implemented in the YMCA that are key strategies that have been successful in the recruitment and the successful collaborations that we've been having with our stakeholders is data collection. I think a lot of the times it is very hard for our stakeholders to actually see the impact that we have. So we do quarterly check-ins with them, where at the beginning of the very first session that we do a check-in with them, we go ahead and kind of provide insights as to how our enrollment numbers are going to be looking like. We go ahead and we do little meetings where they go ahead and share our grant requirements to be able to be in compliance. And then we also go ahead and share the unduplicated families, or what we call those unduplicated families, which are our McKinney-Vento families. They are our socioeconomically disadvantaged families, English language learners, and foster youth. So we go ahead and share this with our stakeholders so they are able to see the amount of students that we serve in each of our schools. From here, we go ahead and invite our stakeholders over to our sites to go ahead and do a site visit, so they can kind of see firsthand the impact that our programs have on not just the students, but the families and school personnel as well. From there, we do kind of like through the mid-year, we do another check-in with them where we go ahead and share the data that we have been collecting since the beginning of the program. So meaning the retention and the consistency that we've had with our families and our services that we're providing. And also we do provide our waitlist numbers. So this just kind of gives the stakeholders a strong reminder of the families that continue on valuing and depend on the program that we do offer. And then at the end, we do kind of do like an end of the year check-in with our stakeholders, to where we kind of reflect and we identify the new areas of growth and how we can go ahead and expand our programs even more to make sure that we serve as many families as we can. This is kind of also helps us to make sure that we make a lasting difference in our communities. I think a lot of the times it is very beneficial when we do have stakeholders very involved in our programs, and make sure that they are able to see how much our programs do impact these families on a day-to-day basis.
Thank you, Ariely, for sharing. Really appreciate that. With that, I'll pass it on to our next action topic.
Great. Another kind of large group during the action planning sessions was looking at organizational development and capacity building. So really sort of examining, again, the internal operations and culture of organizations and how important those things are to facilitating positive and healthy work environments for our staff that addresses retention, career advancement, et cetera. So some of the strategies that were named that could be implemented earlier on, it may just be about implementing the policy or starting to examine, is this something that we can integrate into our organizations? Is sick pay. So ensuring that staff have access to paid sick leave. Bonuses if possible to, again, recognize, the hard work. Maybe we can't guarantee that at the beginning of a fiscal year, but as the year goes on, kind of recognizing where there may be opportunities for that. Are there ways that staff can be offered more hours to work? And then, of course, again, making career pathways more clear for staff. Another strategy or set of strategies that might take a little more time is, again, really investing in paid strengths-based leadership development for supervisors. So we know the importance of mid-level managers, the people that are supervising people, has so much impact on people's experience at work and whether they stay or whether they go. And so there was conversation about the importance, again, of investing in leadership development, including, strategies like regular check-ins, integrating accountability within supervision structures. And then this was an interesting strategy, is even exploring alternative schedules like 90-80 work weeks. So that's, where staff work 80 hours over a 2-week period and end up with having a day off, let's say every 2 weeks for rest and rejuvenation. So there are some creative strategies being explored to really ensure that there are actual policies in place that can support, rest and care and wellness for staff. In the long range, strategies like securing additional funding sources to ensure that full cost of program, which oftentimes it's personnel, right, that is the highest cost. And we know that there are invisible kind of unpaid costs that happen if we aren't really examining our budgets, involving a range of stakeholders, and just overall strengthening internal communications and organizational infrastructure. So excited to introduce AJ. AJ was at the summit, part of this org development action planning group, to share either what you're taking away from the summit, AJ, and or how you are integrating a focus on organizational effectiveness.
Thanks, Alea. Hi, everybody. My name is AJ Ferhiliana, Workforce Development Program Manager for the San Francisco Beacon Initiative. I'm going to tell you all a little bit about our organization and then talk about what was sparked for me at the summit and currently some pieces that we're implementing. So the San Francisco Beacon Initiative, or SFBI, is an intermediary that connects 13 community-based organizations across 27 Beacon community schools in our district. We know that the vital expanded learning programs that our community relies on wouldn't be possible without the staff who lead those programs. So our work is centered around amplifying their leadership. We facilitate regular ongoing professional learning, leadership coaching, and connection opportunities where Beacon Community School staff at all levels, from supervision to direct service, can access opportunities for leadership development and career pathway advancement. And through this work, we've seen strong engagement and motivation to accomplish both short-term and long-term goals at their individual sites. And since we work with CBOs all over the city, it's important for us to have a full picture around what staff need. And something that was really hit home for me at the summit was the importance of strong data collection and meeting making. The Power Bus data was super helpful in reminding me that in order to have that full picture, it's important for us as an intermediary to understand that the unique needs of each school, community, and their staff can vary depending on what neighborhood your school is at. We share an annual staff survey that not only collects staff demographics, but we also ask people how they're feeling about the year and what professional development topics they want to see. And from there, we tailor our programs accordingly and make sure to center this data when we plan our annual professional development day for our entire network. I think, to no surprise to no one of the main themes this year is worker wellness. So we're working on identifying resources and facilitators that align with this need. And during that event, a majority of our sites closed, providing the paid opportunity for staff and supervisors to really engage with the day and not have to worry about going right back to site for program. Finally, we're also focused on securing new funding resources to support our current work and new projects, including a registered apprenticeship that would also support strong retention and clear career advancement. And this work also supports our data collection, communication strategy, and impact report practices. So we're weaving many strategies together, a lot of those strategies processed from the summit to ensure the strongest work possible.
Thanks, AJ. That's all great to hear. I'll pass it to you, Lupin.
Yeah, great. Hi, everyone. My name is Lupin Rappert. I'm the Executive Director with CalSAC, the California School Age Consortium. And we're going to dive into worker wellness, which AJ, I heard you elevate, and I feel like was reflected in the organizational development section as well. And continues to be something that we're hearing from the field as like a key priority, like both wellness for the young people working in programs, but also wellness for the adults that are working with them and leading them and supporting them. Ultimately, we can't support youth with their wellness unless we're making sure that we're well as well. We're well as well. And so this is something that continues to be a priority in the field and a priority for the workforce. So you can see sort of some like short-term ideas of things that folks are looking to implement. With just like elevating mental health and wellness as like a priority and something that there's strong alignment behind, or a lot, it's like seen as a value, and seen as something that ultimately has impact on the young people we're serving. In fact, I was at the California Department of Education kind of design team conversation yesterday, and I think it was Sean Jenright that was speaking to like, if the environment that we're creating for young people is like, and he was speaking in sort of gardening terms, he was saying like, if the soil and the environment isn't healthy, then how are we going to grow healthy plants, right? And so sort of the same idea of like making sure that we're prioritizing, we have alignment and like values alignment across the field, that we recognize the workforce needs to be well in order for us to support young people in being well. So really making that a priority across our field, and encouraging people to take mental health days when they need to, really making sure that the training we're doing is not only trauma informed, but like has sort of this recognition and understanding of SEL, social emotional learning as well. And then other ideas that came to mind or came up were like having daily check-ins for staff, and really connecting staff to resources that can support them outside their workday as well. One thing that we use at camp, not at camp, at CalSAC, although we used it at camp too back in my camp days, but we found a really cool resource that NAMI developed, and actually youth developed this, and it's a check-in tool. And so we've used it for our check-ins because our staff checks in on a regular basis, and found this to be a great resource. So just like a quick and dirty resource that you could implement right away is something that kind of generates all these ideas all about things that a team could use to connect with each other on a daily, monthly, weekly basis. Thinking a little further out was really getting into workplace culture, and really wanting to think about what does coaching look like. And this is something we're at CalSAC hearing a lot from the field as well. So some of the like leadership development training that we do, people are asking for us to like front load coaching and emphasize coaching. seeing that as like a really critical way to help people kind of build their own skill sets to solve problems, as well as not having a punitive approach, but really investing in people, and recognizing people's natural abilities to do good work. And then also encouraging peer connection, and really acknowledging staff success. Something around the peer connection that really stood out to me when I went back to all the chart papers of all the different action planning groups was really making space for like cultural connections and like coming together to eat together and share your cultural food with each other, and like even practicing like wellness practices that were reflective of different cultures on the team. That really resonated as something that I think could be meaningful and really continue to elevate wellness as part of the culture of each organization. And then another thing that came up that really stood out is developing a strong onboarding experience. And I think it makes a lot of sense to me that wellness is attached to how prepared people feel for their role. And so part of supporting wellness is really making sure we're giving people the information, but also the skill sets and the tools they need to be really successful in their roles. And so really looking at the first 90 days, as well as, again, making sure those resources, things outside of the workday are available to folks to continue to support them. And integrating like ongoing check-ins to see how folks are doing and answer questions and figure out where the gaps are to continue to like prioritize success for each individual in their role. The other section that, or our last section today is around recruitment. And I think it's really fitting that recruitment is the last section because I think a lot of what's reflected here rolls up into a lot of the other areas, as well as was a high priority at the event itself. So the most groups, I think there were 5 groups that chose to focus on recruitment in their action planning. And so really folks were thinking about how to be really successful in recruiting folks, but also retaining them to stay in the workforce. And so really some of the short-term thinking is, community-centered recruitment practicing of really leveraging what's already in the community, as well as the folks in your organization that can help bring new people into the organization. So using those local networks and leveraging word of mouth, but also looking for partnership opportunities with local schools and colleges and other CBOs that could bring new candidates into the organization. What elevated as a kind of a midterm strategy was really looking at clear pathways and growth opportunities for folks as a recruitment tool, right? So like wanting people to develop in the field, but also wanting, even when folks are considering a role in an organization or in our field, they're seeing the potential that's already there for them to grow in the field and build skills and move towards whatever career they're interested in within or beyond the field. So really highlighting those transferable skills that you can build while you're in the field, but also offering training and apprenticeships for people to really skill up, and really identifying different potential career trajectories that can support folks, that they can build up while they're in the field and then move in the direction of wherever their highest interests are. And then I thought this was really interesting. Thinking more long term is really thinking about securing resources for recruitment, and raising funds that would start to support things like a really effective onboarding experience, really deepening organizational capacity, kind of getting to some of that culture development that Alea was speaking to, and of course, making sure that we have competitive wages, living pay for folks. To stay in the field. Something that was in the charts that I thought was really interesting was even thinking about collaborative fundraising across organizations. So like thinking as a region of like, how are we cultivating folks and keeping them in the field, and how could we fundraise together to make that possible? So we have another spotlight. So I'm excited to introduce Juliana Hernandez from After School All Stars. Over to you, Juliana.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Juliana Hernandez. I am an operations and grant manager with After School All Stars Los Angeles. I currently oversee a region in South Central Los Angeles of 6 schools, and this is the role of grant managers in After School Los Angeles. So I'm really excited to be here and to share a bit about the work our group focused on during the summit around recruitment and how some of those ideas are improving and currently developing in our programs. So when we came together for action planning, one of the main things we discussed was the importance of community-centered recruitment. And for us, that means leaning into the relationships and networks that already exist around us, like schools, local colleges, and word of mouth, just because impact is real. So yes, and then to bring in new candidates who truly reflect the communities that we serve. So we also discussed how recruitment doesn't stop when someone is hired. It's just as important to show that there's a future here. At our organization, we're focusing on making those growth pathways clear and highlighting transferable skills as well, offering meaningful training and showing how this work can lead to long-term careers in education and youth development. We're also working to strengthen retention by checking in annually with new employees to make sure they feel supported and have what they need to succeed. A lot of those workshops were really vital to us, to my coworker and I, especially highlighting the first 90 days of employment and how that really builds the foundation for employees and their longevity with you as they continue in the programs. So we've started using check-ins as data to see which professional development trainings are needed to make the biggest difference in the field so we can prioritize items that truly help our staff grow and thrive. At All Stars, we have a saying which is educate, enlighten, and inspire. And that doesn't only apply to our youth, but it also applies to our community and our employees as well. We're always committed to continuous improvement, but more than anything, with the information we gain from the It Takes All of Us Workforce Summit, we're so excited to continue improving and to implement these things with our new hires and just help develop our communities and our staff as well. Thank you.
Awesome.